This is Evangelist Henry Walker. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Today I want to start a new message talking about some of the characteristics of the beast of Revelation as we're in this pre-rapture season. But let's go to Father in prayer first. Father, I thank you for another opportunity to minister to your people, Father. I ask you to use me just the way you want, Father. Let me say only what you want me to say, nothing more and nothing less. Help people, Father, to open up their spirits and not only receive the word, but study the word for themselves. And Father, we give you all the praise and the honor, Father, in the mighty name of Yeshua, by the blood of Yeshua. As some of you may or may not know, I always want to end my prayer with the blood of Yeshua. See, the blood is an offensive weapon, not just a defensive weapon. It's so powerful. And we read in Acts chapter 20, verse 28, that it's the Father's blood that flowed through Yeshua. And it's still flowing towards us. For us to claim his blood and ask him to cover situations, meetings, every aspect of our lives with his blood. But as I mentioned, we want to talk about some of the characteristics of this beast of Revelation, this world ruler. If you go with me to the Gospel of John chapter 5, the first characteristic that I want to talk about is his name. In John chapter 5, verse 43, Yeshua said, I am come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. He's talking about this beast of Revelation, his name. This beast of Revelation, his name is known throughout the world. And if you go to the book of Revelation, chapter 14, I have a message on my website, a written message at henrywalker.org about the mark of the beast and the mark of the Father. It's all a spiritual mark. It's who somebody swears allegiance to. And their name on their forehead means they're thinking about that person. And the right hand, the beast, gives them power. Right hand is the right hand of power. So in Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, and I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. That 144,000 is divisible by 12. It's all the believers that are caught up and are with him in heaven. So they have their Father's name on their foreheads. So it's a spiritual mark. We have Yahweh in our minds, his name, Yahweh. And of course we know his son's name is Yahshua, Y-A-H-S-H-U-A, Y-A-H-W-E-H. But the people that follow this beast will have his name in their minds, and he will give them some power. And eventually he'll take it away from them. So number one characteristic that I'm talking about is the name of this beast. It's the most recognized name in the world right now. And with these characteristics that I'll be talking about, you just have to go to the Father after you hear all these characteristics, digest them spiritually, and ask the Father who this person is. And we know that the rapture door could be closing on the Day of Atonement, which is Sunday the 24th at 6 p.m. to Monday the 25th at 6 p.m. And in Israel it's 11 a.m. and 11 a.m. on that Monday. The rapture door could be closed at that time, but we know that, as I mentioned on the last podcast, the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah, on the last day in Israel, they have the last trump. They have 100 shofar blasts, and they have the last trump, the 100th. And so I believe that any time after that last trump in the subsequent year, Yeshua could come back for us in the rapture. And I believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. And this message is about warning you and maybe some other people about the characteristics of this beast that will be the world ruler. The point that you tell people, look for these characteristics and let the Father show you who this person is. I'm not going to say who it is, but let the Father show you who this person is. If you go to 2 Thessalonians with me, chapter 2. Number 2, he's a man of sin. The second characteristic is that he's a man of sin. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Thessalonians is right after Colossians. You got 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, and right before Timothy. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of Yeshua, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Yeshua is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except to be a falling away. And we talked about it on the last podcast. It's the Greek word apostasia. It comes from the root verb episteme. And it's used 15 times in the New Testament, episteme, and 11 times it means a departure, which I believe is the rapture. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. I believe it's at the same time. The rapture and then that man of sin is revealed. So he's called the man of sin. The 7 deadly sins that is talked about. And you see in these 7 sins, this beast, he's called the man of sin, and these 7 sins describe this beast. Just take some notes, ask the Father to show you in your spirit who this person is. Pride, greed, envy. This person has a lot of pride, greedy, envious, wrath, sloth, which is spiritual apathy, laziness towards spiritual things, gluttony, lust. This person brags about sinning. So these are some characteristics, as I mentioned. Number 2 is the man of sin, and these are the 7 sins. The Father will show you who fits these characteristics. And number 3, this beast of Revelation is called the lawless one. This beast will be bound by no rules. He'll be the lawless one. And number 4, he'll be the wicked man. And 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yeshua shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. There's only one person that can destroy this beast, and that's Yeshua. But he's called the wicked one. He's got a vulgar mouth. He speaks lies. If you can put a marker in 2 Thessalonians, I'd appreciate it. We're going to get back to it. But go to Proverbs 6. Right after Psalms, Proverbs, go to Proverbs 6, verse 12. A naughty person, a wicked man, we're talking about the wicked one, walketh with a froward mouth. He winks with his eyes. He speaketh with his feet. That means he'll just walk out on people. He speaks with his feet. He teaches with his fingers. Look at hand signs that this person makes. Forwardness is in his heart. He devises mischief continually. He soweth discord. So again, we're talking about that beast that comes up out of the sea in Revelation 13. The one world ruler is called the wicked man. Here in Proverbs, as we read, a naughty person, a wicked man. 2 Thessalonians called him the wicked one. And it's not going to seem that obvious. But as you pray, you see that this person is truly the wicked one. And go to the book of Daniel with me. And when you get to Daniel, put a little marker in Daniel 2. We'll be going back and forth to Daniel. Daniel's after Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. I want to talk about how he's very boastful. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things, very boastful. In verse 11, I beheld them because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. The great words that he speaks. In verse 20, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. He had that stout look. And number 6, this beast is profoundly arrogant. In Daniel 8, verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall he destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without a hand. See, he shall magnify himself in his heart, profoundly arrogant. It's only me, I. He denigrates other people. He's impressed with himself, what he knows. And chapter 11, verse 36 of Daniel, and the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every pagan idol, and shall speak marvelous things against Yahweh, and shall prosper until the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. He shall magnify himself, again, profoundly arrogant. And number 7, in Daniel 8, verse 12, he cast truth to the ground. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. He's a pathological liar. He exaggerates and twists the truth. And people will have conversations with him and say, right away, is he lying or not? He is, again, a pathological liar. And number 8, in Daniel chapter 11, verse 21, and in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. He's a vile person. He lacks decency, credibility. And number 9, in Daniel 7, verse 20, as we read before, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn had eyes, and a mouth that speak very great things, and whose look was more stout than his fellows. Haughty, prideful, full of himself, arrogant, as I mentioned. I'm so great. He praises himself. And number 10, he denies the Father and the Son. It says in 1 John chapter 2, verse 22, that he will deny the Father and the Son. There's no need for Yeshua to intercede for us. This person thinks that he's without any intercession to the Father by Yeshua, that he's just perfect. No need for repentance. He's perfect. There's no need for Yeshua to intercede for him. And as we read before, in Proverbs 6, verse 14, he sows discord. That number 11, he sows discord. He attacks his enemies so powerfully. This person is going to have people turn against each other. He's going to promote himself, sowing discord. He's going to sow hateful rhetoric. He denigrates others. And number 13, he works deceitfully. In Daniel 11, verse 23. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. For he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. And as we read in Daniel 8, verse 25, he's going to destroy many. Destroying deceitfully. He works deceitfully. And number 14 is that he's a beast. In Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion. He takes things by force. He's greedy, unstoppable. He gets what he wants. A beast. And number 15 in verse 3 of Revelation 13. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. The whole world's going to marvel, wonder at this beast. And number 16, everything about him is money. Money is so upward in his mind. In Matthew 6, verse 24, keep a mark in Daniel, keep a mark on Revelation. In Matthew 6, verse 24, no man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yahweh and Mammon. As I said, it's all about money with him. Preaches prosperity, just like so many prosperity preachers. They love him. It's all about money, 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 money. It's all about that buying and selling too, without the mark of the beast. It's an emphasis on money and gold. And back to 2 Thessalonians. Hopefully I had a mark in 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. He's going to bring strong delusion. There's actually some beautiful believers that are following him and will follow him under strong delusion. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. And for this cause the Father shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not in the truth, but in pleasure and unrighteousness. It's not easy to recognize his delusion. So many believers are and will be fooled, as I mentioned, by what comes out of his mouth. It's very deceitful, as I mentioned, and it's not easy to recognize. He claims to believe what they believe. And sometimes he'll do that with two groups of people who are opposite each other. He'll say, I believe what you believe to one group, and then he'll say that the same thing to the other group. Strong delusion around him. As I mentioned before, in Daniel 11, verse 23, he becomes strong with a small people. He starts off small. Number 19, he attains power by flatteries. He seduces people. In Daniel 11, verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. As I mentioned before, he seduces people to a strong delusion. Again, he has two groups against each other in what they believe, but he'll say what the first group wants to hear, and he'll say what the second group wants to hear. He tells sincere lies to both groups. In Revelation chapter 6, verse 1, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, the white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So he has a bow without an arrow. And Psalm 36, verse 4, you can write it down, I'll read it to you. Psalm 36, verse 4, he deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorred not evil. This beast of Revelation, well, he's not sleeping that much. He lays awake, plotting about what he can do in an evil way. And he'll use something like Twitter to really attack. He's got the bow, and at night he thinks about arrows that he can shoot. Then he starts shooting them like with Twitter and trying to destroy people. And number 21, he'll succeed at all he does. He just keeps winning and winning and winning. Back in Daniel, hope you had that mark in Daniel. Daniel chapter 8, verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the set apart people. He'll succeed at everything he does. Again, he keeps winning and winning. And see, what's setting this person up is what's happening in the world right now. So many people are hurting and hurting and hurting. Things are happening in the world, and they're crying out for somebody to come and save them. This is all set up for him to come into power on a world scene. They're looking for somebody to help, and there's nobody that can help but this person. And all these events are contributing to people clamoring for him to come on the scene and take over. As I read before in Daniel 7, verse 11, I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. He just succeeds at all he does. In Daniel 11, verse 28, the 22nd characteristic is that he does exploits. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the set-apart covenant. And he shall do exploits and return to his own land, doing exploits. And number 23, he's going to think to change laws and times. Again, he's called the lawless one. He wants to change laws and times to his own advantage. And number 24, he's going to remake the world order, establish his own world order in his image. He's going to make friends with some corrupt leaders in the world. He's going to control every country. Set up his new world order. That's number 24. And number 25, he's going to set up a Mideast peace plan. He's going to set up a deal with both sides. Again, set up that peace plan. for 7 years. And back in Revelation, there's the second beast that comes out of the earth. That's the false prophet promoting him. In Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. It is this false prophet that sets up the mark of the beast, not the beast himself. And he does great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And again, it's this false prophet that causes the mark of the beast. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, so that he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So again, that false prophet is going to promote the beast, and in conjunction with the beast, have the mark of the beast. Number 27, he's a ruthless world dictator, a tyrant. He's going to rule the world with an iron fist. He'll crack down on any country that doesn't follow him. He's going to enforce his own new world order. 28, he's a warmonger. In Revelation 13, verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? He's a warmonger. Build up the military, build up the nuclear arsenal. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, the 29th characteristic, he opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he as Elohim sitteth in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. The 29th characteristic will be that he'll rebuild the third temple, and he'll set himself up in the temple as Elohim. Number 30, Israel is seeking the Messiah. They'll love him as the Messiah, but in the middle of it, he's going to sit in the rebuilt temple, showing that he is Elohim. Israel is and will lift them up even more as the king of Israel, the king. They'll lift him up to a kingly status. In the middle of the tribulation, he changes. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. He's called the son of perdition. Again, he breaks the covenant. He's unfaithful. In his life, he's so unfaithful. He betrays Israel like Judas betrayed Yeshua. Judas is called the son of perdition, and this beast is called the son of perdition. Number 32, he's going to set up this worldwide economic system. As you just read, the false prophet's going to set up the mark of the beast. And as I mentioned, it's a spiritual mark that it's allegiance to the beast or allegiance to the Father, Yahweh. Yahweh's name will be in people's minds, and this beast's name will be in their people's minds, in the forehead. And Yahweh gives us power, the right hand, and the beast gives people that follow him and swear allegiance to him some sort of power. But then he takes it right back. And so it's all about money, and people won't buy or sell unless they have his mark. So these are the characteristics I'm talking about, in my opinion, that describe the beast of Revelation. And so it's so important that you recognize this, you pray, as we come to this time, a day of atonement, a Yom Kippur, that you seek the Father, seek him. Yahweh says in Jeremiah 29, verse 13, Seek me, and you shall find me when you seek me with all your heart, with all your spirit. So go over these characteristics, pray about them, and Father will show you who the Word is talking about. And get ready for the rapture, but at the same point in time, warn people about these characteristics So if they go through the tribulation, they will not bow down to this beast and his beast system. There's so many things happening in the world that's leading up to this beast system already. And you can see how you can't get the right information of what's happening from the mainstream media. They just tell people what they want you to hear. You really have to pray about what's happening. You can see one of the main signs that I see that Yeshua's coming back soon is what's happening with some children, what these crazy people in schools are teaching, some crazy ideas to the kids. It's important that you pray for the kids and parents pray and read the word together as a family. And pray for the kids before they go out the door. Anoint them with oil. Ask the Father to cover them with his blood before they go out the door and before they go to sleep. It's so important. And go in peacefully, like I said, to the school board members and test in a peaceful manner with other parents. These are my children, not your children. And you teach them certain things that helps with their career, but they are my children. So, before I close, I want to remind you that this is a pro-life ministry. We believe that life begins at conception. The Father is the agent of conception. I want to pray for the babies in the womb. And remember with the babies in the womb that their hearts begin to beat around 18 days, and around 4 months, the baby's hearts are pumping about 25 quarts of blood per day. This baby is a life, not a tissue. So, Father, touch the babies in the womb right now. Father, bring them to a full birth. In the mighty name of Yeshua, by the blood of Yeshua. And if any of you had an abortion, repent, ask the Father to forgive you, and go on following him into purpose and destiny, and don't look back. Also, on every podcast, I mention that if your flesh is giving you any impure thoughts, any lustful thoughts, any fear, worry, anxious thoughts, just say out loud, say, Yeshua, I thank you for the crown of thorns that was around your head. That was for me. That means my mind is protected by your blood. I only think your thoughts and give those thoughts to the Father. So pray about this message. Seek the Father. Seek what I said from the Word and warn other people. And if any of you have any questions or any praise reports, you can email me at contact, CONTACT, at henrywalker.org. I'll be so glad to hear from you. And also we have a ministry of feeding the poor in the Bahamas. If the Father puts that on your heart to help us, just go to henrywalker.org and click on donate. Every gift is tax deductible. We're a 501c3 organization. And also remember, on my website at henrywalker.org, I have 2 free books on the bottom of the written message page. Noon, talking about the feast days and the different hours of the day when the Father moves the most. And also a book called Is the Trinity Really a Mystery? Explaining the Trinity. So if you enjoy these podcasts, tell other people about these podcasts, share, subscribe, hit the like button, and remember to next time, this is Evangelist Henry Walker saying, greater is the Father in you, your daddy, the King of the universe, than anything or anybody in the world.